So let's hear.
Very, very good concert indeed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Very entertaining, Split Enz. If you get a chance to see them, do so. They're very good indeed. I dragged Tim Finn into the studios immediately they'd finished their set and stopped a microphone in front of him and asked him, first of all, how long Split Enz had been together.
There's been a Split Enz for 5 years now. We started in 1972, but I'm the only original member from those days. Everybody else has sort of joined in along the way. We've been through a lot of changes. We started out with, well, visually we started out very differently from what we are now. But still we tried for a presentation. But that's been going for about 3 years, the visual side of it. Musically, we've been just changing all the time. It's been a lot of finding out what people want. Like we started out writing for ourselves, entertaining ourselves musically, and we found over the years, obviously, that people like certain things and don't like certain things. And I mean, we're in it to please people. We're not trying to be, a cult band or something that people just, observe from afar. We want to communicate with people. So we've just been learning as we go along about music and what's good and what's bad, really. We can make people laugh or hopefully not cry, but feel sad. We can provoke a range of emotions. I think our act is quite balanced. It's not like super serious or super light. It's in between. You don't find that balance in many bands, I don't think. Most bands that are funny are just funny. They're like, say, the Bonzo Doodog band or whatever. I never saw them, but I heard that they were a very eccentric and funny sort of band that perhaps found it hard for people to take them seriously. But with us, I think there is a sort of balance there because we are quite serious about what we're doing. But we just like to give people a good laugh as well.
Okay, Split Enz are from New Zealand, in fact. Is your music influenced to any great extent by American or English music?
I think very much by English music. New Zealand in some ways is like England, whereas Australia in some ways again is like America. There's New Zealand is very influenced by the English things, particularly musically. Our main influence are the Beatles, always have been. That's the band for us that has written the best songs, well, me anyway, the best songs that I've ever heard in rock. And I think consistently, a lot of other artists have written great songs, but perhaps not so consistently. So, I mean, it's ironic perhaps that we're here in Liverpool talking about this, but the Beatles for me are number one, and there's lots of other British bands I love, like The Move and The Kinks. Actually, I must confess that most of my favourites come from the 60s. But, there's been good things since then, but basically New Zealand is very influenced by English music.
Is there any sort of basic New Zealand sound to your rock music, or to New Zealand rock music?
It's hard to say. I don't think there's a general thing you could pinpoint and say that's a New Zealand band, but perhaps with us we've in some ways sort of given New Zealand an identity musically, because we're the only New Zealand band that's come this far, really. There've been other New Zealand bands who've tried it, but we've actually, got ourselves a record deal. We're putting out albums and we're touring here and doing well. So, I think we're the only ones. So perhaps people can say, well, when they hear us, that's New Zealand music, but I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a real mixture of things in New Zealand. Most bands that are successful there play top 20 material, play in the hotels. That was sort of the thing we were fighting when we started. We said, no, we're going to write our own songs. And that was quite hard for a while, to get people to accept us. Because there's a sort of an inferiority complex in New Zealand whereby they say, oh, it's New Zealand, therefore it's bad, They have that sort of feeling. Whereas over here, there's been so many great bands come from England that people accept that an English band can be great, but it's not the case in New Zealand.
It's the visual side which we see today.
Mm-hmm. Well, Noel Crombie, our percussionist, he joined the band in 1974 and he just started designing costumes for us and had ideas for makeup and hairstyles, etc. It's really his bag, that whole side of it. So we just went along with it because we loved it. I mean, the first night we wore the costumes, we all fell about laughing and thinking, what a laugh, this is great. It was really exciting, and they seem to fit in with the music. So Noel's responsible for the way we look, really, but we all have our own ideas as far as movement and things go. We just sort of work it out ourselves. It's become so natural now. I mean, it's not an act at all, really, in a sense. We just go on stage and do, what comes naturally to us. And I like it in some ways because it's total. Like, say, I saw the Tubes the other night on television, and they were very theatrical in some ways, but there was like a band backing, and then they had dancers in the front, and that was the theatre, the dancers, and the band was just a regular rock band. With us, it is incorporated, and it's like total. Everybody is playing a part, and there's no one steps out of their character for any amount of time. So it's a fairly total sort of thing.
Do you find it difficult putting stuff down in the studio on record when, as you say, the visual side of your act is very tied up with the music?
It is difficult sometimes in the studio to get a really good atmosphere and get a good flow of ideas. It can make you very nervous. That's why one of the reasons why we might use a mobile this time, so that we can get a house, get used to the place, and then just bring the mobile in and use the house as the studio, Because sometimes the studio can be a bit inhibiting. But we have to try and, the thing is when we rehearse and when we're in the studio, we try and entertain ourselves. So we're not playing to an audience, sure, we're not getting that sort of feedback from the act, but we're, entertaining each other. And so, because we have a lot of respect for each other. And if somebody does something, they really try hard to make the others like it, which works musically as well as visually. So we all try really hard in the studio to inspire each other.
That was Bold as Brass, and the track you heard before was My Mistake, the single available at the moment. Go out and buy it immediately, because it's jolly good indeed. Right, as I said, that was Dizrythmia, the album, and you can win an autographed copy of it, autographed by all the members of the band, and the interview you heard was with Tim Finn, the lead singer with the band. Okay, if you'd like to win one of these autographed copies of this LP, all you have to do is answer 2 questions. The first question is, what is the ethnic race of New Zealand? What is the ethnic race of New Zealand? That is the original native race before all these white chappies moved in. And second, if you can tell me in no more than 50 words why you think I ought to emigrate to New Zealand as soon as possible. You write those on a postcard or on a letter and send them to me. So the 2 questions. What is the ethnic race of New Zealand? And why do you think I ought to emigrate there as soon as possible? In not more than 50 words. Right, jolly good. Send those on a postcard or in a letter even to Phil Ross, Radio Merseyside, Sir Thomas Street, Liverpool, L1 5BX.